Okay, in a world that is absolutely screaming for our attention, how does any message actually get through? That's the big puzzle in marketing, right? We're just surrounded by noise, but some brands, they seem to have a key that unlocks our focus instantly. Well, today, we're going to find that key. So let's just start with a direct question. Why does your brain ignore almost every single ad it sees? And it's not because you're cynical or you're trying to be difficult. It's actually because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. You see, you've got to remember that your brain has a very old, very powerful operating system. And its number one job for millions of years has been to keep you alive. That means it's all about conserving energy and only paying attention to things that are absolutely essential for survival. Everything else, it's just noise. Okay, so let's dive into what we can call the brain's marketing filter. I want you to think of it like the toughest bouncer at the most exclusive club in the world, and it stands right between your message and your customer's mind. Getting past this guy is the single biggest hurdle for any brand. So here's how that filter works. If a message is too complicated or doesn't immediately signal why it's important, the brain just sees it as an unnecessary waste of precious energy. I mean, it literally costs calories to process complex information, and that survival part of your brain just says, nope, not worth it, and boom, it gets ignored. Instantly. So how in the world do we get past this ancient gatekeeper? Well, we use a key. A master key, really, that fits the exact lock the brain is built with. And that key is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, for anyone who needs a quick refresher, Maslow's theory basically organizes all of our fundamental motivations into a pyramid. It's like a map of what truly drives every single human being on the planet, starting with our most basic, primal needs right at the bottom. Now, for marketers, we can kind of simplify this whole thing into 4 really powerful levels. So working from the bottom up, you've got raw survival, food, water. Then you have safety and shelter. Right above that is our need for relationships and companionship. And at the very top, our drive for social status and a real sense of purpose. These right here are the triggers the brain is hardwired to notice. And this is where it all clicks. The secret to bypassing that brain's filter is to align your message directly with one of these fundamental needs. When you do that, you're not noise anymore. You're a priority. And this slide just shows the difference so clearly. I mean, look on the left. A vague message about innovative features. What's the brain's reaction? Ignore. It's just too much work to figure out what that even means. But on the right, our product saves you money for rent. Whoa, that message hits the safety and shelter need, bang, right on the head. The brain just snaps to attention because this is directly relevant to survival. So how do we use this to make your product feel essential? Well, it's all about shifting from being just interesting to being necessary in your customer's mind. And here's the crucial point, really. Your product must solve a primal problem. From your brain's perspective, there are only 3 currencies that really matter. Does it save me time, which I can then use for other survival tasks? Does it save me money, which gives me security? Or does it increase my social status, which improves my standing in the tribe? If the answer is no, the brain thinks it's probably useless. And you can see that direct connection right here. Save time links right back to survival and our search for purpose. Save money speaks directly to that deep need for safety and shelter. And increased status, well, that taps into that ancient social drive for a better position within our community. The brain doesn't have to guess. It gets these benefits instantly. But what if your product is a commodity? What if it's hard to say you save more time or money than your competitor? Well, that's when you aim for the top of the pyramid. That's when you go for inspiration. I mean, just think about Nike. They don't just sell shoes. Tons of companies do that. No, they sell something so much bigger. They connect their brand to the highest level of that pyramid: purpose, self-fulfillment, the idea of achieving your personal best. They're not just selling you shoes. They're selling you a better version of yourself. So let's bring this all home. We started with the brain's really powerful filter, the one that's designed to ignore almost everything. And we found that the key to unlock it isn't fancy features or complicated jargon. It all comes down to this simple, powerful truth. Marketing is like knocking on a door. And if you aren't speaking to a fundamental, universal human need, the person on the other side, your customer's survival brain, is simply never going to answer. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. When you communicate with your audience, which door is your brand knocking on? Are you talking about survival, safety, relationships, or purpose. Because if you're not knocking on one of those, you might just be knocking on a wall.